morning, America, and welcome to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I will be your host for this hour. We have an interesting lineup for you today. We're going to talk about a number of things that are happening currently in the news. We originally had Michael Walters scheduled to join us from Armed American Radio. He was had to cancel that discussion with us this morning based upon the fact that today is the administration is going to release their their executive order list, and so we basically agreed to reschedule that appointment. I do want to talk this morning in our bullet points in reference to the upcoming TPP. Now, if you're not familiar with the TPP, it is about time that you educated yourself about a very serious and deleterious threat to our sovereignty, our liberty, and our independence as a federal government and as a nation. The TPP is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Excuse me. This is a trade agreement which has been being negotiated in secret for years. The problem, of course, is that this particular agreement is designed and geared to tie us into trade agreements which, again, are not in our best interest. Their claim is that our countries are very alike, and that all of the signatories to this particular agreement will be similar in terms of their value and ability to produce gross domestic product. So, for the record, let's see exactly how close we are. The United States with a GDP of over 15 trillion. Canada with a GDP of 1.7 trillion. Australia with a GDP of 1.5 trillion. Mexico at 1.2. Malaysia at 288 billion. Singapore, 260 billion. Chile, 248 billion. Peru, 177 billion. New Zealand, 159 billion. Vietnam, 123 billion. Brunei, 16 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, math does not lie. The total GDP of the top 10 of the top TPP countries is not even 1/3 of that of the United States. The real question is whether a partnership with these countries will result in our strengthening their economies and, of course, engendering a weakening of our own, or will improve ours. Now, the simple truth is that every one of these trade agreements that we have negotiated in the past, NAFTA, CAFTA, and numerous other types of treaties of similar ilk, have all proven to be a waste of time, money, effort, and energy for our nation. They have greatly enriched the coffers of those nations that have been a party to those agreements and have stolen literally millions of jobs and hundreds of billions of dollars of American wealth. This particular trade agreement has been negotiated in secret for well over 5 years now. That means it was also started under George Bush. So make no mistake about it. This is not a Republican or a Democratic boondoggle. This is a federal government which seeks to destroy and grind our country to sand, irrespective of which party you would like to align yourself with. That's why you have heard me say numerous times that this is not a question of whether or not the United States of America should have a Democratic or a Republican leadership. Quite frankly, they are identical in the end goal. They may wear different color suits. Their sashes may be different color. One may be red, but one may be blue. But make no mistake about it. The end result is never in our best interest as a nation. And both parties have betrayed us royally. That is the simple truth. You can choose to disagree, but if you do your homework, you're going to find that both the Republicans and the Democrats have sold us down the river in a massive and deleterious way. And that's the end of my bullet points this morning. If you'd like to contact us and speak with us in reference to this or any other topic, you're more than welcome to. You can call us on the Wits End Classic Barbershop Hair Hotline. Our telephone number is area code 417-257-1111, or you can call us toll free 866-554-6636. That's 257-1111 or 866-554-6636. Now, yesterday we had on with us a very interesting guest. Our phone lines were absolutely lit up. And so if you were trying to call through yesterday, of course, I had not wanted to take phone calls. I wanted to have our guest have an opportunity to speak. And so if you'd like to posit some questions or to comment on our interviews over the last few days, you're certainly more than welcome to. We'd like to hear from you. Tomorrow, by the way, Thursday, we are going to have Eddie Justice. Now, Eddie Justice is the leader of the Missouri Republican Party in the 8th District. And we're going to have him on tomorrow to speak with us in relation to this issue about Joanne Emerson and her replacement in the Congress. To be honest with you, there are some things that our listeners need to know about that are related to that, and so I'm going to make sure that we have an opportunity to share that information with you. I want you to hear it from Mr. Justice himself, because he's deeply involved in the process, obviously. He has connections into the governor's office, and of course, you have to remember that this is the governor's option to choose and declare what date that the election is actually going to be held, irrespective of who is the ultimate choice for that. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike.
Good morning.
I'd like to read something to you from the Family Medical Guide about emotional and mental illness.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, emotional and mental illness very often pose a special problem for both layman and doctor, that of deciding whether a given set of abnormal feelings and behavior do or do not constitute a disease. There is no bacillus to put under a microscope, no suppurating lesion, no fever reading to act as irrefutable evidence of the existence of sickness. And it goes on to say that society usually decides the own culture. It has been rapidly changing in recent decades.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also says here, yet there still exists no generally accepted definition that professionals can offer to guide the layman as to the precise meaning of normal or abnormal, emotionally healthy or emotionally ill. Freud, when asked what a normal person should be able to do, replied, he should be able to love and to work. Contemporary psychologists and psychiatrists have added somewhat to his reply. The normal person should also be able to play, to see the people and things around him without distortion, to live relatively free from pain, and to obtain a good deal of satisfaction from life. And that's all I had to say.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate that.
But I think that it is very scary to think that we are going to be determined whether we are mental, emotionally, or with illness.
Yes. I can't agree with you more.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here with the executive orders that are planned and scheduled for today. And I want to bring that out to the fore. I also would like for you folks to be aware of Stone Construction. Bill Stone has done work here for the last 40 years. He has built a number of local projects, including Faith Assembly's South Addition, 11 Point Equine Center, restored the Big Yellow House in West Plains. He has worked with numerous residential houses and duplexes and Mastercraft's office renovation and a host of other projects. I'd like you to give Bill a call at 293-0116 if you are contemplating doing any kind of construction and or additions to your property. If you're doing commercial, light commercial or residential, makes no difference. They handle everything from pole barns and shops, decks and concrete work, to structural flat work, decorative repair, old masonry, welded pipe corrals if you're in the farming business or if you're a rancher. They even do offer a construction management project where they will basically come in and oversee and manage your construction project and allowing you to make the actual decisions. Also, I'd like you to support our friends over at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com, and you can also, you can also call them at 257-7799. Now, you know that the Battery Station is one of the last places in town that's got some ammunition left, so I would strongly encourage you to get a hold of those folks. We're going to take this quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. You're welcome to call us after the break, and you can call us at area code 417-257-1111, and or you can call us on our toll-free line at 866-554-6636. Make sure that you have an opportunity to find us on Facebook. Folks, we have broken well over the 100 Facebook like mark. We would very, very much like to have you join us in that, and you can do so by finding us at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We're going to be back in just a moment, and we'll take your calls at that point.
When you open a book, you open your mind to a world of adventure. Visit new places.
Where am I?
Encounter new friends.
Fate has brought you here, John Carter.
And discover the power of reading.
Anything is possible.
Go to read.gov to read A Princess of Mars, the first novel to feature John Carter.
Only you can unlock this mystery.
A new world awaits. Read. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Painless commercial break. Phone lines are lit up. We're just going to go straight to some phone calls and allow you folks to have your say. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Caller, you're on.
Yeah. Mike?
Yes, sir.
During your conversation, Mr. Besser, I had contacted you during your break there concerning the fact that he had talked about determining who would determine who was disenabled by the laws concerning the possession of firearms due to mental disability.
You're talking about with Clayton Kramer?
Yes, Clayton
okay.
Kramer, sir. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking about the day before.
I have so many good guests, you guys just can't pick which one you want to talk about.
Well, I'm familiar with Dr. Kramer's work more than I am. I've read some of his books.
Sure.
The thing about it is that who exactly makes that determination? Is there going to be a board?
Well, again, and that's exactly what the problem is that we don't know who ultimately is going to make those kinds of decisions. And I can always tell you this, and I can make you a guarantee. If it's a government-sponsored group of individuals who are going to make decisions, it will not be in the citizenry's best interest, nor will it be the kind of thing that we can be assured of a fair and unbalanced or a fair and balanced approach to the problem, right? Obama's favorite words, fair and balanced approach. I can tell you this, it will not be a fair and balanced approach. It will always be towards the detriment of your Second Amendment rights. Guaranteed.
Yes. I've had some experience with DFS due to an incident over my son. The thing about it is you get a administrative justice hearing. Now, frankly, that board is overseen by people who have a liberal outlook, and they're all in the cities. And frankly, the meeting was a wash before it ever got started. I eventually ended up going to court over the deal and getting it settled, which I won, by the way.
Congratulations.
After buku bucks.
Yeah.
Time. Several years.
Federal attrition rules.
Yes.
Will just beat you to death with attrition, financial attrition.
Absolutely. They tried to beat me to death, and I spent the money, and better than $16,000 to be bluntly honest about it, the lawyer's fees and such, and eventually won the deal. But what I'm trying to say is at an administrative hearing from a board, the sole purpose is to disenable an individual, and that's what it is.
Right.
You're going to lose.
The premise is that you're guilty rather than innocent until proven otherwise, right?
Exactly right.
That's how they all work. That's not unusual. That's how they all operate. Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. And the other item you're referring to was the teaching of critical skills, thinking skills, which I'm in favor of, by the way.
Well, the issue of critical thinking skills, what he was talking about, and you're referencing Dr. Bart Rossi, who was the psychologist. And the concern there, of course, is that if you're going to have our schools educated with the issues of this short-term clinical psychological thinking, that would require first and foremost that they have the basic skills that are required for, the most basic 3 R's, right? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. And we're having trouble teaching those. And how are you going to get a group of teachers who, quite frankly, don't have a vested interest in educating and teaching our children about even the basic premise for why they're there, to evaluate and teach the concept of psychological issues? I just don't see it. I really don't. And I see teachers misusing that to utilize that additional authority we give them, if you will, to bend the rules further in their own favor, which already I disagree with the way that they teach today.
Yes. My point being in this case that if you examine some of those cognitive teaching ability skills that they utilize, because frankly some of them are based on work that happened during the Korean War, criticism, self-criticism, work, brainwashing basically. Yep. It is a valid technique, but it depends on how you use it.
Sure.
And the second thing is that that can very easily lapse over into indoctrination.
Well, boy, we've got a government loaded up with that today. So
that's what I mean. Unless someone's keeping a real close eye, we can lapse very easily from teaching critical thinking skills to, well, this is the way you should think, rather than this is how you go about thinking.
Exactly. Well, listen, I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much, and thanks for sharing them with our audience. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much, and thanks for sharing them.
Caller, turn your radio down, and you're on the air.
Yes, Mike, I just wanted to say that Dr. Rossi that you had on, I was listening that morning, and if you listen carefully to what he said, he was saying that anybody that's on the right, there's something wrong with them. And that really bothered me when he said something like that, because I don't think people are really listening to what people are saying.
Well, let me tell you why I had Dr. Bart Rossi on. The premise, folks, of having look, if all I do is have a radio show where I bring on guests who completely agree with our concepts and our thoughts, then we haven't heard the opposite side of the coin. We haven't heard the opposite viewpoint. And properly, it is our requirement to not only take a look at our own position, but occasionally check it against the other position, right? So you have to realize that if all I want is sycophants and yes men, then we haven't really learned anything, have we? But if we draw the comparative analysis between what we do and the way that we think versus the way that others think, it helps us to become educated about their thought process so that a couple of things occur. Number one, we have an understanding of how they're approaching it. Number two, we know exactly what they're going to think and use to combat it properly. And number three, we get an opportunity to evaluate what they're pumping into the minds of those around us as well. Follow? Caller, are you there? Okay. Not quite sure what happened to that caller, but here's the deal, folks. You don't want me to just have people on who are yes men. The object of all of this exercise is for us to not only understand what we are trying to accomplish and to reinforce our own approach, but also to make sure that we understand what others are thinking, right? What do they say? Know your enemy. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing just great, thanks.
Well, basically, I see this whole mental thing as just a backdoor gun tactic. Just like you talk about that felon that got in trouble for a joint when he's 18, never have a gun.
Sure.
Now when they can start with the mental illness, and, I read that book that lady was reading out of, and basically it said that whoever determines whether you're a nut or whether you're not a nut is determined by the society in the town, in the place where you're at that point in the world, and
Sure.
which changes just everywhere.
Everywhere, of course. It's got to be right. I mean, what we consider to be normal behavior here may not necessarily be normal behavior in Atlanta, Georgia. May not be normal behavior in Oregon State, right? So I get your point, and it's a well-taken one.
You're a little different than I am, or I'm a little different than you are, then we're both mental retards, and we don't get no guns.
Sure. Well, I fully agree with you. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate the input. Go ahead, caller. You got about 30 seconds or so.
I do it in 30 seconds. Who's the most famous healthcare professional you can think of?
I don't know.
Nidal Hassan.
Okay, go ahead and tell me why.
Because he shot all those people down there in Texas.
Okay, so why is that critical? I don't understand.
This is the type of people we're going to allow to tell us whether we're mentally competent or not.
Oh, I see what your point is. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't getting your point there for a minute. Okay, so what you're saying is psychologists are the ones who are going to be making the decisions, and he was one of them.
Yeah, and it will soon be politicized. It'll be all just like TV.
It's already politicized, brother. It's already politicized. Right?
I don't want these people making those decisions because every patriot will be nuts.
Well, listen, we're going to have to start initiating civil disobedience here very quickly, folks, and I'm going to start talking to you about how we can do that right after this break. Got to take the hard break at the bottom of the hour. We'll be back in just a moment.
I know what you're thinking, Bunk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
Dirty Harry gets all his ammo from the battery station. John Rambo, you guessed it. He gets his ammo from the battery station, too. So if you need ammo, go to the place where the guys who know about ammunition go, the battery station. They have one of the largest supplies of ammunition in the area. So make sure you're stocked up and don't get low on shells. Go to the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains.
A helicopter hits a construction crane on top of a building and falls to the street in London, killing the pilot and at least one person on the ground.
It sounded like a fighter plane flying over, and we just heard a loud explosion, and we thought it would be a terrorist attack.
9 other people are hurt. The helicopter landed on 2 cars and exploded. This was during morning rush hour, with thousands of people on the streets walking to work. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a clear sky, sunny through the day with a high of 44. Mainly clear tonight, low 26. Tomorrow's sunshine, the high again 44. Mainly clear tomorrow night, low 22. We'll see sunny skies on Friday, high 48. Sunny Saturday, high 52. Sunday, sunny and colder, high 36. Sunny for Martin Luther King's Day with a high of 32. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, check out our website, the all-new my1071thepoint.com.
Hey folks, make sure that you get over to see our friends at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can find them on the web at Ozark MTN Self-Reliance. They're 1/2 mile east of Walmart on Highway 62 at 3225 Highway 62 in Mountain Home. You can call them also at 870-492-4030. Make sure you also find our friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery. She can be reached at 255-2253, number 2 Evans Arcade on the square in West Plains. Chantilly's Artisan Bakery. Best damn bakery in 100 miles. Okay, I want to take a couple of minutes to make one or two announcements. There's an event that I wanted to just let you folks know about. On January 22nd in Ava, there is going to be a special presentation for the Ava Area Preparedness Group. This is a group of folks that are out in that area, and they're kind of kicking off their own localized group. You can meet them on Tuesday, January 22nd. Let me just make sure I'm giving you the details here. They're going to be meeting at the Ava Seventh-day Adventist Church. That's 1 mile north of Ava on Highway 5, across from the Foxtrotter Arena. The meeting will be from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., and there will be no other advertising except you. So if you've got if you want to talk to some friends about this and bring them with you, that's great. Craig Wiles is the person you can call for more information. Craig's phone number is area code 417-818-6057. That's 417-818-6057. Gentleman's name is Craig Wiles. He'll be sponsoring this. They will have a special guest, Tony and Cher. I'm not sure how to pronounce this last name. It's Piche, Pitchy or Pishi, from Springfield. Tony and Cher own Down to Earth Foods in Springfield, and they both grew up in Africa. They will be talking with, sharing firsthand experiences of living in a safe, developed country and seeing that fall apart and become one of the most dangerous places on Earth. So they'll be talking about what we can learn from that and how they can impart some information and knowledge to you. Again, it's January 22nd, and it's the Ava Area Preparedness Group. Craig Wiles is the sponsor, or at least involved. You can call him at 417-818-6057, and it is on Highway 5 across from the Foxtrotter Arena, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, January 22nd. If you have an opportunity to, make sure you're there. Okay. I want to break some news here. We know we're waiting right at this point for the administration to come out with their executive order nonsense. And I have to tell you that there are a number of state legislators for various states that are basically stating at this point that in the event that any of these executive orders are calling for unconstitutional declarations, that they will immediately begin to pass legislation barring either financial. See, you have to understand how executive orders work, folks. They are there for one purpose and one purpose alone. They're there to execute an existing law. And so what some of these executive orders may look like will be things like barring greatly increased sentences for actions or crimes committed with a gun. Things like that, because those are already laws on the books, and what they're basically going to be saying is you can increase penalties and things like that. If he tries to do something that is outside the law and extends the abilities of the executive office to actually make law, that, ladies and gentlemen, will be an impeachable offense, and I personally will start calling for that. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're getting censored, Mike, because whatever was just on didn't come out here at all. It was not on the air, and my husband was listening yesterday and missed most of the show. Are they censoring you?
No, they're not.
You're still off the air right now, and it was about this time yesterday they shut off the entire last half of your show.
Okay, it is not a censoring issue, guys. I can tell you that what's occurring is that there are we put in a new system, and there's some snafus and there's some bugs in the ether, and
well, if I listen to your show tonight, will it be censored or will it be shut off at the same time?
No, you'll be hearing a recording, and we record off the board.
Okay.
But thank you very much. I'll check it and find out. Are you saying we're not broadcasting right now?
You're not on right now.
Okay.
And yesterday you weren't on for, I think, 25 minutes at the end of the show.
All right. Thank you.
And it automatically comes on to the news, and then Dennis Miller comes on, and it makes us wonder, you know.
No, I get you, and don't feel paranoid about it. We're on.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Caller. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
I was going to let you know you're not on the air. I don't know if you know or not right now. But
all right. Yeah, we're having board problems. We'll take care of it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Apparently, we're back. We're having some technical difficulties, folks. We put a new system in, and there's apparently a bug running loose in the system. So we apologize if we went off the air there for a couple minutes. I do want to talk about one or two issues. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I was just going to let you know, though, you are still streaming, so at least listening that way.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. You guys have a good day, and good luck with Nate. Apologize about that.
Thanks. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike. Yeah, I'm streaming also.
Gotcha.
Just want to bring two real quick points. One, a foreign type incident and a local incident here. I'd take a little bit of a look at what France is going through over in Africa right now.
Yeah.
And this terrorist threat, you know, that the Muslims extremists have put out. And why this gives me, I've been kind of waiting for this to happen, knowing the immigration policies of Western Europe.
They're basically, for those, well, why don't you explain for the benefit of those folks who aren't aware what's going on? Because, folks, if you're not aware of it in France, well, go ahead and you tell them. Go ahead.
Basically, most of Western Europe, not all, but most of the Western Europe company, and Canada for that matter, have an open immigration policy where you can just claim that you're being, you know, persecuted. And most of these people,
they give you asylum.
Yeah, generations have been coming from North Africa and the Middle East, and they're of Muslim descent. If you get outside of Paris, France, get outside the city of Paris and get out into the inland of France, you'll be fortunate to find a full-blooded Frenchman that's 18 years or younger.
Right.
They're not, you know, and this is why immigration is so important in this country also, because of what's happening there. So basically the war on the terror is a civil war. And this could really happen in France. There could be a civil war over this.
Well, it's not just France, and by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's Great Britain.
Many nations in Europe are beginning to feel the burden of unlimited, and it is really unlimited immigration, especially from Muslim countries. And the Muslims who do come there don't assimilate into society, and instead they're forcing the society to assimilate to them instead. There are reports right now in London that there are entire neighborhoods that even the police will not go into, and that they exercise Sharia law in their own court systems within those communities. And the police won't even go into those neighborhoods because they fear for their own lives.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not being reported at all as usual.
No, it isn't, because
by
they
the
don't.
Media in this country.
Right, absolutely, they're not reporting it because the truth of the matter is, and listen, Britain doesn't report things like that anyway. I mean, if you recall when Piers Morgan was having that gun debate with Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America, he was calling Larry Pratt a liar about the numbers that Larry was using about the fact that they underreport their violent crime by 60%, and the reason that they do that is because they don't want to be caught with their pants down, basically, because their laws have not worked. Their gun bans have not worked. Their violence is extraordinarily high. In fact, and this is according to the Telegraph in UK, they consider themselves to be one of the most violent cities on earth. So Piers Morgan can throw out all the diatribe and lies he wants, but the simple truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that Europe is coming apart at the seams in a lot of different ways. Economically, one, because the euro is on the verge of collapse. Two, because they've passed all these draconian anti-gun measures, and their crime rates are absolutely through the roof because nobody can defend themselves. Three, their immigration problem is so atrocious at this point that there are entire cities that have fallen already to Sharia law and have most of their, and we're talking large cities, right? Marseille in France, as an example. The entire city of Marseille, the city council, is made up of like 85% Muslims. And so they're setting the rules and changing their entire society to meet their criteria rather than assimilating into the European or British society or whichever state you're talking about, French, whatever. So, hey, listen, I hear you, man. And the truth of the matter is, Western governments are either complicit or silent. And I don't know, and of course silence is complicity, but, you know, it's a dangerous time we live in, people. And I'm going to tell you something else. I wrote an article, which I'd love for you guys to get to. It's on americasvoicenow.org. And I basically threw it out there. New York City and New York State have committed an act of war and treason on their citizens based on this anti-gun legislation, which was signed into law yesterday by Governor Cuomo. If you're not aware of what's going on with that, I'm going to talk to you about that right after the break, which we've got coming up in just a minute. I'm going to wrap the show with that because I'm here to tell you this is unbelievably draconian. It is time for Americans to stand up and say, no more, we've had enough. We need to start being Rosa Parks about gun laws, about taxation, about all of these abuses, about surveillance, about every one of these issues that our government is coming down on us for. And we need to do it in a civil, disobedient way. That means that we have to strike. We have to stop buying goods and services. We have to stop paying taxes. We have to stop supporting and allowing these laws and rules to be implied and posted upon us. It is time for us to cease supporting these efforts and to stop feeding the beast. And the only way that we're going to strangle this beast is by cutting off its cash flow. Now, that's a responsibility and a job of the House, but I'm here to tell you that it is imperative that we do so. We just don't have an option. We must do that. So listen, I want to thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Thanks for your thoughts, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we are going to take a break because, well, it's that time and it's capitalism at its best. We'll be back in just a minute. The goal here is for us to begin what is going to be a series of events that have to that basically we have to start doing civil disobedient actions. That's how the civil rights acts were created in the 1960s, and we should not be forgetting those lessons. It is imperative that New York State, especially, and New Yorkers declare the act of their governor to be unconstitutional. In fact, they should be working immediately to begin impeachment proceedings against him. When we come back, I'm going to read you a list of the unbelievable limitations that have been placed upon the citizens of the state of New York. It is treason, ladies and gentlemen, and I do mean the word treason. This governor has placed, in his own efforts to run for office, he is creating the most egregious limitations on his own citizenry. We'll be back in just a second.
My name is Joe Thompson. I'm 29. And thanks to my college degree, I'm a systems analyst. And the college me would tell you.
I wouldn't be here without Big Brothers Big Sisters. My big brother believed in me. And to a 7-year-old,
that means a lot. My big brother's name is Phil. And Phil is the reason that this 7-year-old grows up to be a systems analyst.
Whether you donate money or time, you're helping Big Brothers Big Sisters help a child. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org. Brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters and the Ad Council.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment.
Hey, guys, check out my new video game.
Mom, what?
Huh?
What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
New York City and New York State. Governor Cuomo yesterday signed into law an unconstitutional act of war and an act of treason on the citizens of that state. It is time for New York's Governor Cuomo to be removed from office by impeachment if necessary. Passing unconstitutional legislation negotiated behind closed doors, no public input, forcing draconian and illegal penalties on lawful gun owners all make for a brand new dark day in the Empire State. I think Governor Cuomo takes that state's nickname to mean a different kind of empire. By taking this action today, New York has declared war on its own lawful citizens. Assemblywoman Michelle Schimel's own words, make no mistake about it, everyone. I repeat, make no mistake about it. This act of lawlessness will not stand in a court of law, and every New York citizen should immediately begin acts of civil disobedience in direct defiance of this law. The governor's abuse of the citizens of that state should stand as a testament to the vast abuse of government promulgated on citizens nationwide by both national and state governments. No longer may we as citizens sit idly by and watch tyranny unfold before us. It is time for us as citizens to take a stand. This unconstitutional law that was passed on the citizens of New York bears the following provisions, and I'm going to read them to you because I'm telling you some of these are very onerous. It restricts assault weapons to define them by a single feature, such as like a pistol grip or a bayonet lug. The old law required two features. In fact, their current law, because they have an assault weapons ban in place now, by the way, and that requires two features. It makes unsafe storage of assault weapons a misdemeanor. So if you have an assault weapon in your closet, it's a misdemeanor. They mandate, and I want you to be clear when you hear me what I say, they mandate a police registry of assault weapons. That means that you will be required to go to your police department in your local community, your town, your city, and you will be mandated to register yourself and that assault weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, that is treason. It is in direct violation of the Second Amendment that states very emphatically, these rights shall not be infringed. It is also in direct violation of federal law that says that no registry may be made of firearms ownership. It establishes a state registry for all private sales, which will require a background check done through a licensed dealer for a fee, excluding transfers to immediate relatives. It will also require a therapist who believes that a mental health patient makes a credible threat to use a gun. They will make it illegal, or they will force them to report that threat to a mental health director, who will then have to report serious threats to the State Department of Criminal Justice Services. That will allow them to take a patient's gun away from him or her. It bans the internet sale of assault weapons. So you'll no longer be able to go onto the internet, order a gun, have it shipped to your local dealer, and purchase it there. It requires that stores that sell ammunition register with the state and run background checks on buyers of bullets and keep an electronic database of bullets sold. Ladies and gentlemen, are you listening to this? This is treason. It restricts ammunition magazines to 7 bullets from the current national standard of 10. Current owners of high-capacity magazines would have a year to sell them out of state. someone caught with 8 or more bullets in a magazine could face a misdemeanor charge. Now, let me clarify for you. Nowhere, anywhere in the United States has any manufacturer ever made a magazine that only holds 7 rounds, unless that was the limit of the weapon in the first place. So every manufacturer who has a 10-round magazine out there, or every gun manufacturer, will now have to manufacture magazines specifically for limiting it to 7 rounds just to sell in New York State. First of all, that should also be treated. Every gun manufacturer in the United States of America should be filing a lawsuit against New York State for restraint of trade. That's the simple truth. They require that stolen guns be reported within 24 hours or you face a misdemeanor charge, a criminal charge. They increase sentences for gun crimes, including taking a gun onto school property. Oh, really? While the rest of the country and many other states are in the process of arming and enabling and training their teachers, you, New York State, are limiting and increasing sentences for taking a gun onto school property. They increase penalties for shooting first responders because of the firemen that were killed. I mean, are you telling me that my kid is less important than a first responder? Are you trying to tell me that the guy who runs a grocery store doesn't have the same rights as a first responder? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Governor? You elitist piece of trash. Limit the state records law to protect handgun owners from being identified publicly. That's in direct response to that thing where that newspaper printed up where everybody lived who owned a gun. And then here comes one of the most draconian ones of all. Require pistol permit holders and anyone else who has an assault weapon to be recertified for ownership every 5 years to make sure that they're legally able to own the gun. Did you hear that, people? You will have to get the government's permission for you to own an assault weapon or any pistol permit holder. You'll have to have them recertify you to own a firearm every 5 years. What part of shall not be infringed does Governor Cuomo, the communist, the fascist, the piece of trash that runs New York State, what part of that statement does he not understand? Shall not be infringed. This governor is simply using the Newtown tragedy and exploiting it to push a progressive agenda and prep himself for a 2016 presidential run. I'm calling for citizens of New York to stand up and demand an immediate repeal. Tell your lawmakers that their treasonous action will not stand. Immediately begin to conduct acts of civil disobedience. Refuse to comply with the law as it's passed. Refuse any registration demand.
4 minutes away from your next Fox News top of the hour.
Boycott any stores and places of business which support or honor the law. Strike away from work and strike from taxation. Bring that city and that state to its knees and a screeching halt. Failure for the citizens of the state of New York to accomplish a complete and total civil breakdown in your state will end in a flood of further tyrannical mandates from a totalitarian regime. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a dictator in Governor Cuomo. He bent the arms and twisted and whipped that Congress and that Assembly into passing a law which every New Yorker should be ashamed to live under. The negotiations were done in secret. The votes were held at the 11th hour. You were not given an opportunity to fight back against it. And you were not given an opportunity to have input into it. Ladies and gentlemen, in the state of New York, if you choose to live that way, I don't know what to suggest to you. But you are living now under a siege. Under siege from your government. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show, and you got to be quick.
Mike, real quickly, here's what's taking place in America. People have developed the rape theory. Just lay and relax, and it'll be over with pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be over with pretty soon.
It's over, and it ain't going to be pretty.
I'm telling you right now. Thank you so much. Hey, folks, I'm telling you to watch and see what happens, because in places like New York City, in places like Nassau County and out on Long Island, they may comply. But I can tell you this. There ain't no way they're going to be complying with this stuff in upstate New York. There's no way. New York State is huge. Go look at it on a map and look at how big it really is. New York City and those highly compressed areas of population are a pin on the tip of New York. There's very, very few places in New York where they have highly compressed population, except in New York City and out on the western tip of New York City, of New York, out by Buffalo and places like that. So the simple truth is that you have to recognize that the vast majority of New York is not controlled and run by these slippery animals in New York and in Albany. I'm telling you right now that this state has declared an act of war and have committed treason against their own citizenry. I demand, I encourage you to defy your government. Do it now. Do it civilly and do it legally. Defy your government. Do not allow them to continue in this deleterious and destructive function. Folks, we're here. Don't you get it? The bubble is about to pop, starting with New York. Wake up, America. Find us on www.americasvoicenow.org. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a clear sky, sunny through the day with a high of 44. Mainly clear tonight, low 26. Tomorrow's sunshine, the high again 44. Mainly clear tomorrow night, low 22. We'll see sunny skies on Friday, high 48. Sunny Saturday, high 52. Sunday, sunny and colder, high 36. Sunny for Martin Luther King's Day with a high of 32. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, check out our website, the all-new my1071thepoint.com.
If this radio spot were Nikki Baker's life, it would start pretty normal, like this.
And about this far in, Nikki would drop out of high school.
Here, she'd be forced to work 2 jobs, but then she'd decide to earn her GED diploma.
It would be the beginning of a brighter future. For free info about GED test prep classes, call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org.